So you are all welcome once again. You are welcome to the episode 18 of this great channel today, and we are still talking about how to calculate your digestible crude protein based on the ranges of feed for your fishes. And from our episode 17, yes, I think I talked about the ranges of crude protein to grow your fishes at a particular given period for the fishes, the sizes of the fishes. I think we are gone through that. And from the episode 18 again, 17 again, I talked about the materials I'll be using for the 2mm, which I listed it. And I think we are going to talk about what we call the kg to develop a 100 kg concentration. That means formulation for your feed. And that's what we have been talking about in our episode 18. And from then, our name once again still remain Odutola Isa Abiodun DTM, your great uncle on this channel. So before I go in depth about this, let us just go on a very short break, and we come back. And for those of you who have not subscribed to this channel, make sure that you do that now. For those of you who want to share to your friends, your loved ones, make sure that you do that now. Click on the notification button, why this simply tell you when we release new videos on this channel, and please just click on the thumbs up button and like this channel. I will really appreciate that. And once again, for you that have not subscribed and you are just watching, just a viewer, make sure that you subscribe to support this great channel that you are enjoying. So let us just go on the break, and we come back to start our topic. So you once again welcome after the break, and we are talking about, I'll be listing to you the material, the kg of the material needed for our 2mm formulation. Yeah, on this formulation, I told you this formulation are basically for sinking feed, and if you want to use it for the floating feed, I told you the material you extract. I told you that, and I'll be telling you that again on this episode. Yeah, so the first one I talk about is fish meal. Fish meal, you are going to use a kg of 50 kilo fish meal, depending on what you are using for. But from my first formulation, I told you I'll be alternating it for you so that I can teach you the meaning of the alternation, because I'm just talking about alternation, feed alternation. Maybe some of us that don't know that meaning, so I'll be telling you that the one I'm talking now is just the basic. The basic is fish meal, 72%. I'm using 72% fish meal, and I'm going to use 50 kg of it, and which comprises the CP is 72%. We know it's 72% fish meal, and these are the likes of 999 and Danish. It contains 72% digestible crude protein, and I think the prices ranges from 1,500 to 200 naira depending. Yeah, and depending, so you can just put your prices as I'm doing it when you are doing your calculation, depending on the location, the area you are. But me, I'll be using a basic of a price. The price does not really mean, it does not really mean, I'm just using a basic for the price to tell you how to alternate and how to get what we call a cheaper. Once you alternate it, you can get a cheaper formulation which will still give you the same digestible crude protein. That is the essence of you formulating your feed and understanding feed formulation and concentration. So with this, I'll be using for my fish meal, I'll be using 1,000 naira for me to get the calculation right. Thank you. And for the food fat soya, and I told you I'm using food fat soya, but you can use soya beans if you are using your own for floating feed. And I'm going to use 20 kg of it into this formulation of 100 kilo. And food fat soya has a ranges of 45 to 47% crude protein, depending, but I'll be using 46% to do my calculation, because when you are working between the ranges, since you do not take it to lab to confirm the actual crude protein that the materials has, so you need to base your your calculation in between. So I'm going to use 46% as the crude protein for that, and I told you I'm using 72 for fish meal because I'm using Danish, the 999, which is confirmed 72%. So for the full fat soya, depending on where you get yours from, I'm going to use 46%, and I'm going to price it for 200 naira. Just for my price is around 600 now. So I'm going to use what we call the GNC, and I told you GNC is the number 3. And if you are using the GNC, for those of us who want to use it for floating feed, you use the shad GNC. Don't use the thick GNC because of the oily part of it. It's highly oily, and from that kilo I'm going to use another 20 kilo for that too as well. From that 20 kilo I'm going to rate my GNC at maybe 60% crude protein. Yeah, I'm going to use it for 60% crude protein, and I'm going to price it for just 120 naira, 200 naira too as well. You know, I price my full fires for 200. I'm going to use 200 naira for my calculation. And for my flour, and I told you order you can use for if you don't to alternate it, but I'm just talking about the basis now. The flour I'm going to use 10 kg, and I'm going to use a crude protein of 9%, and I'm going to target with the price of 120 naira. So note, from this formulation now, by the time you calculate the kg, we have 50 kilo plus 20 kilo of full fat soya and 20 kilo of granite cake, which is 20 kilo, making it 90 kilo. I'm using the flour for 10 kilo. That takes me to 100 kilo. That means I have my 100 kilo intact. And I told you with this you can conveniently use 4 ingredients. I told you earlier from my episode 1, you can use 4 ingredients for a very good formulation. So what we are using here is just 4 ingredients. So we are using the full fish meal, GNC, food fat soya, and our flour to comprise a very good formulation for you. You don't need to waste your time to get sharps that are not really necessary around you, to get ruminants that are not really access. You don't really need. This will give you a very good formulation. And the only mineral we are using is the premix. We are using premix. Why we are not using lysine and mentholin? Because inside the premix we have lysine and mentholin, depending on the premix you are buying. I'm going to buy a very high in cost premix. It takes this as more volume of lysine and mentholin. So that is what I'm using, and I'm going to target for 1,000 naira. And I'm going to use the DCP. The DCP are powder, they are white powdery form for your calcium. If I don't want to use bone meal, they are chemical source, good for your calcium. So, but if you can access bone meal, fine. They can powder it very well for you. That is very good. But I'm going to use DCP, and I'm going to target just 1 kilo, and I'm going to target for 450 naira from this formulation. And I'll be diving into what we call the vitamin C. Vitamin C is very, very important for our fishes, more especially if you are using blood meal. But I told you earlier, these are just the basics, and I'm going to alternate it for you so you can understand the alternation. And from this formulation of my 2 ml, I'm going to use 0.1 of vitamin C. 0.1 of vitamin C for my 100 kilo, which I'm going to target at 35 naira. 35 naira. Note, this feed formulation is for 2 ml sizes of fish. And this alternate and getting material for, I told you how to get if you want to let it to float, but this the basic material is for floating and sinking, as I explained to you. How to calculate for your crude protein, start from fish meal. So I'll be starting it from the fish meal. Those formulation has 50 kg of fish meal of that means the formulation are 50 kg batch of fish meal of 72% crude protein, of 72% crude protein. The crude protein of a major ingredient, which is 72%, divided by the total kg of the feed, 100 kilo, multiplied by the quantity used in kg, divided by 1. So this is just to tell you this is the formulation that you are going to use to calculate for your crude protein. That means the crude protein of a major material, of a major ingredient. Let me say I'm using 72% for my fish meal. So the 70% I will divide it by the total kg of the 100 kilo of my total formulation, and I'm going to multiply it by the total CP of the ingredient, the total quantity of kg I'm using. I'm using 50 kilo. So I'm going to multiply 72% crude protein. I'm going to divide the 72% by the total kg, and I'm going to multiply it by the kg I'm using, and this will give me automatically. I'm going to multiply it by just 1. This will give me that is the formulation. This will give me the absolutely the formulation how to calculate my CP. So from this how to calculate for CP for the formulation I gave you. That means the formulation, I think I will write it there. The calculator to be, I use C divided by 100% times Q divided by 1 will give you the formulation of your crude protein. That means the percentage of crude protein on the major material is your C. The percentage of crude protein of the major ingredient is the C. That means the C divided by 100. The Q is the used in, that means 100 kilo of feed. The Q is the quantity of your formulation. So if you are using, maybe you are doing a formulation of 50%, from that inside that Q is where you put your 50%. That means 50 kilo. Sorry, 50 kilo. If you are doing formulation for 80 kilo, inside that Q is where to put 80 kg. But since I'm doing 100 kilo, I'm going to put the Q as 100 kg. 100 kg. This is important for your formulation. And I think from my episode 19, I'll be because of our time, I'll be inputting the total calculation inside, how to calculate it inside the box for you. So I'll be doing that for you. So make sure that you start watching from the episode 19, which I will be doing the total concentration, the total calculation, how to calculate for your crude protein in your formulation. This is important. We just talked about the formulation, and the formulation I talked about how to, the basic formulation I use for 2 mm, I use fish meal, the 72% fish meal, I use 50 kg, I use soya meal, full fat soya, or soya meal, I use 20 kilo. I use the granite cake with the GNC. You can use the shard or the other one if you are doing your sinking feed. But if you are for your sinking feed, I use 20 kg. I use flour, or you can use wheat waste. I use 10 kilo, which takes care of the 100 kilo. And I use the premix of 1 kilo. I use DCP of 1 kilo. I use vitamin C of 0.1 kilo for my basics of my formulation. I just want to remind you back to the basis of my formulation, and I have to cost it. So that's the basic, and I'm going to, from this formulation I give you from my episode 19, I'm going to tell you how to, the percentage that each ingredient has. That means the fish meal, from this formulation, this is a percentage of crude protein. Soya meal, this is the percentage of crude protein. Granite cake, this is a percentage of crude protein. Flour, this is a percentage of crude protein. So from this crude protein I now arrive, I will now add it up to get the total crude protein for that formulation. So the crude protein is going to help for that formulation to know if this fall between the ranges of I think we have ranges for 2 mm, we have ranges of is it 45% to 42% crude protein? Yeah. So after the calculation, we are going to see if this fall between the ranges of the formulation, and if it fall between the ranges, that tells us we are some source for us. And again, we are going to use after we now release the alternation, the alternative formulation for 2 mm, we are going to check again if the alternative crude protein tool is meet with the ranges and cheaper. So it's from there you will now know that you can go lower for your feed formulation by alternating your formulation. Yeah, this will help you guys. So from this end, I'll be saying thank you for those of you who have been watching from episode 1. I'll be saying I so much appreciate you, that God will bless you. And from this end, I'll be saying bye bye and God bless you all.